Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to talk about the movies. I'm Skye Jethani. With me is Josh Lindsay. Hi,
Hello,
Josh.
hello.
How have you been?
Good. Getting over a cold, but doing great.
Okay. And Jason is with us as well. Our faith.
I'm just gonna lean away a little bit.
You're gonna lean away.
Yeah, he's sick. I don't know.
Oh, well, I'm,
right.
I'm in between you two.
No,
so
I'm
apparently-
getting over the cold. I'm good.
You're not contagious anymore.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Well, this is episode 11, and we have a big movie to talk about because it is winning tons of awards, and it's probably going to get up for Best Picture, but we don't want to get there too quickly. If you're new to our podcast, we're grateful that you're here. The way we do this is we talk about movies kind of in a matrimonial framework. So we talk about something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. Josh, let's start with something old. This is a movie from the past, from our childhoods, from even earlier, just some old movie that you think people need to be reminded of. And we'll talk briefly about those. What's your something old this week?
Okay, my something old is right in line with our something new.
You're so good at that.
Well, I try. It's Moulin Rouge. It was the most obvious
Moulin Rouge.
with Ewan McGregor,
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
So I saw this movie.
Although it didn't take original music, it took existing pop music.
No, but the concept was pretty original.
Yeah, it was.
And I thought it was fun because it introduced songs, some of the songs I wasn't familiar with and became excited about after seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
But love story, tragic love story, a dreamer, a young poet, goes to the big city, falls in love with a girl in a nightclub, and it can never be. But it's that young love story where they're singing and dancing, and it's whimsical and also heartbreaking. But I saw this the month after Angie and I got married.
Oh, so there's sentimental connections.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, I like musicals, like I think generally speaking, but I came out of that theater dancing. It was.
See, I hated that movie. I hated it. And the funny thing is, I really like musical theater.
Okay.
Like, I love going to the show in a theater with live performance. Like, I have no problem with that. But I really do struggle with musical movies.
Period.
There are some that I really like, Disney animated movies, things like. But in general, it's a really high bar for me. So Moulin Rouge, and part of the problem is that the actors in it are not real vocalists. Like, Ewan McGregor cannot sing.
Oh, disagree.
I don't think he did very well.
He's done much better than Russell Crowe
Again?
in Les Mis.
Yes, he
or
sucked.
even Ryan Gosling in
Again,
Right.
He sucked. Yeah. So, and I'm no singer, but I'm going. If you are going to do a musical, you better be a singer.
I was convinced Ewan McGregor. He was fantastic.
I don't know. Whatever.
Did you now? Baz Luhrmann directed this, and he has it's called it's like the not red carpet, but red something trilogy, and it's got the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I never saw that.
Which is good if you like Romeo and Juliet. It's a very different take on it, and then Strictly Ballroom.
Never saw it.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that one.
Okay. All right. Well, my something old could not be more different. I'm recommending Die Hard.
Oh, yeah.
The original Die Hard, 1988. Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber, the bad guy. It was. I don't know why this movie. It's a classic at this point, but it was. Let's see, how old was I then? I was 12 years old in 1988.
When do you think you saw the movie?
Probably when I was 12 years old, even though it was rated R. My older brother used to sneak me into these kinds of movies. Sometime near then, I saw it in the late 80s, but it was like the perfect action movie.
It is. Agreed.
And what differentiates it from action movies today, I think, is there was fantastic action, but amazing characters and fantastic psychological tension, and just the right amount of humor. But they're all over Nakatomi Plaza, right? and it's a Christmas setting, and it's just a fantastic action-packed movie. Yes, it's rated R, and there's some language. And I don't even remember if there's anything else that's inappropriate. I remember some guy doing coke, but
There's nudity in it.
is there?
Brief, but yes.
But that's not why you see it. And the movie, though, it's the way an action movie used to be. And now everything has got to be so CGI, and it's all made for the Chinese market with massive this, that, and so if you want to go back and watch way an action
what
movie is
prompted
supposed to.
this? Did you just watch it again, or
Actually, what prompted it was we were looking for holiday movies to watch with our kids back in December.
It's a great Christmas movie.
And I saw it on a list of alternative Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And it is a Christmas movie, but it's just so brilliantly well done. And yeah, it spawned a whole bunch of sequels and things.
Copycats and-
Yeah, but nothing compares to the original.
There's a YouTube channel, Cinefix, and it does like the top 10 best, lead actors or movie scenes or use of color in a film or whatever it is, and they have their top 10 best structured films. And it was Die Hard was in the top 10.
It's just a greatly constructed movie with surprises and twists and it's just okay. So Moulin Rouge and Die Hard.
Jumping back, it's the Red Curtain trilogy.
Red Curtain.
Thank
you.
The Red Curtain trilogy.
You need to see those.
Why
movies.
is it called the Red Curtain
Well,
trilogy?
it's very theatrical. Like in Strictly Ballroom, there's a red curtain and it opens up
at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think the same in Romeo and Juliet. It's very, it's a play.
Sure, yeah.
And then Moulin Rouge is very
it's in a theater.
over the top, and I think it has a red curtain in it. But it's these performance driven. One is musical, one is about dancing, and one is, I guess you'd say, more like
Drama.
poetry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I did not know that.
And they're all great.
Okay, on to something new. You brought up the topic of musicals, and so we are talking about La La Land, which everybody is going gaga for La La, right?
Yeah, they're going La La.
Give us a little background on the movie, just a brief synopsis, and then we'll each give our proposals.
Okay, I'll read the synopsis. Is the story of Mia, an aspiring actress, and Sebastian, a dedicated jazz musician, struggling to make ends meet while pursuing their dreams in a city known for destroying hopes and breaking hearts. Modern-day LA is the backdrop to this musical and explores what is more important, a once-in-a-lifetime love or the spotlight. Mm-hmm. And so this is made by young filmmaker Damien Chazelle, who is known for Whiplash. He wanted to make this movie first, La La Land, but no one wanted to touch it. Mm-hmm. So he made Whiplash, which was a great success. Did you see that?
I actually have not.
But
I really need to.
It's so good.
I've heard it's really good.
All right, that's on our to-do list, Whiplash. But yeah, so I don't know much about Damien, but I am a fan of, I do like a good musical. Mm-hmm. I was intrigued. I mean, I remember reading about this a couple years ago when I heard that Ryan Gosling was going to be singing and dancing in a classical musical. I thought, I didn't think it'd be good, but the more I heard about it, the more excited I got.
Okay, so what's your proposal?
Okay. I propose that La La Land, the sweet and yet heartbreaking musical, is the whimsical distraction America needs right now.
Okay, so you're kind of going on the cultural front here.
I am.
Okay.
This thing is, there's a wave, and
there is a wave.
I mean, Saturday Night Live was featured in Saturday Night Live,
which was a great skit this last week. Yeah. You know what else has waves?
Tell me.
My bowels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So here's my proposal.
Oh, no.
I didn't sign up for this.
Jason's out. Okay, my proposal is that if this movie was not about Hollywood, La La Land would not be winning so many awards. And let me put some caveats in there. This might surprise you, actually. I actually really like the music in this.
It is great music.
I liked the music. I liked the performances. I liked the singing. Even, I mean, they weren't great, but they were for the type of singing they were doing. It was really good. They weren't trying to be operatic,
right.
like Les Mis or something. I thought it was beautifully shot. The cinematography was great. The whimsical kind of 1940s vibe to the set pieces and the dancing, all that was. I enjoyed it. It was a nice escape. However, I didn't walk out of it going, oh my gosh, that was the most amazing movie, and it deserves to win everything under the sun.
Right.
And the only conclusion I could come to was Hollywood loves movies about itself.
Agreed.
And it always lavishes awards on well-made movies, but if they're well-made and self-aggrandizing, like look how great we are,
right.
Then they just get like orgasmic for those movies. And I think that's what's going on with La La. It's fine, it's good, it's interesting, it's different. I don't think it's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
For sure. Well, can you, but I'm going to test your knowledge. I mean, last year, though, can you think of something that you liked better?
Yeah.
So okay.
Well, we're going to talk about it on our next episode.
Oh, okay, got it.
That
got
was
it.
one,
All
but
right.
I mean, I have my own reasons for really liking that movie. I don't know what else. What else was nominated like at the Golden Globes for Best Pictures?
Well, there was Moonlight, but I didn't see that one. Help us out, Jason.
Looking it up.
yeah,
He's looking it up right now.
Phil.
Fences, Hidden Figures, which I want to see both of those. Have not seen them.
Is that this year? The Reverend wasn't this. Was it this year?
That was last year.
That was last year.
What superhero films came out this year?
You got to do 2017.
Oh, 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
There you go.
Math. Not my
Yeah.
Oh, Hell or High Water. I just saw that.
thing. Lion, Manchester.
Lion,
by the
I've
Sea.
heard is fantastic.
Hacksaw
Manchester,
Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge. I mean, I think any of those movies that I'm looking at, I enjoyed way more than La La Land. And none of them are about Hollywood.
That's true.
So I don't think it's a bad movie, and I didn't walk out going, "Give me my money back."
Musical or comedy is a separate category. So.
Deadpool.
I don't have any comment about Deadpool. I will not confirm nor deny that I have seen that movie. Anyway, La La Land, it was fine. I didn't walk away going, that was just an amazing cinematic experience.
I will say this: when I saw the film, I enjoyed it immensely. I was taken aback by, and this is a spoiler. I don't want to ruin it for people.
Just
but
do that. Spoil it. Let's go.
Spoil
We're
it.
going to have to get into this anyway.
they don't get together at the end of the movie.
Which I thought was actually the best part of the movie.
Well, I think it was inevitable, and I think it's true, because if they got together, it just would have been hokey. But when they didn't get together, I had an emotional reaction of just sadness and disappointment. And then the movie tricks you at the last second to think, nope, they're getting together. And you're like, yes, because it was that montage.
Right,
of
right,
like,
right. What
nope.
could have been.
Yeah, we rewrote history, and they're together. And it was like, nope, that's just what he was wishing would happen, which makes it even sadder. And I walked out of there, oh my gosh, like, really, like Moulin Rouge, just floating on air because it was so fun, but just heartbroken that they didn't get together. And then we've listened to the soundtrack a ton of times. My kids haven't even seen the movie, and they love the soundtrack. And I want to go back and see it again. And there aren't many movies I saw last year that I want to go see again.
Yeah. I like I said, I thought the music was well done. I like that it was original music. They didn't just reallocate existing songs like Moulin Rouge did, right? It was
Right.
So, but here regarding the ending, and the reason I kind of liked it is the message I took from the ending was, here are these two young people. One's an actress, the other's a jazz musician, and they're in Hollywood trying to make their dreams come true.
Right.
And the movie's all about their struggle to make it into the big time, right? And her dream of being, a world famous actress, and his dream of being a jazz musician and opening up his own club. And at different points in the film, they each basically give up on their dream, and the other person is there to go, no way, you are not giving up, you need to keep going, right? So they're helping one another to keep going. And what I loved about the ending, and this is going to sound horrible, is what it communicated is exactly what the values of Hollywood are, which is, at the end of the day, the most important thing is my success and my dream, and I will even sacrifice relationships and people in pursuit of my dream. And if anything epitomizes our culture right now, it's that relationships don't matter, marriages don't matter, families don't matter, communities don't matter if they get in the way of me achieving my dreams. And that's exactly what this movie was about, which is really dark and kind of depressing. And people walked out upset that they didn't get together. And I'm like, well, that's what happens when you put everything else ahead of relationships.
Right.
So in that regard, I kind of felt like they're being honest. It was, what this movie was to me, it was, when you wish upon a star, all your dreams will come true, but you may have a lot of collateral damage in the process. And I've kind of felt like, yeah, if there's anything that epitomizes La La Land, Hollywood, it's exactly that. It's a bunch of narcissistic people pursuing their own dreams ahead of everything else, and they will use one another, and they'll say they love each other, but they're really using one another to achieve their goals.
Right. You know what's interesting? I just read an article interviewing Donny Osmond. So, from the Osmond
The
family.
Osmonds and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Right.
Yeah.
So he got married relatively young. I think maybe late teens, definitely somewhere around early 20s. And he was he was a teen idol.
And a Mormon, where,
And a Mormon, yeah.
right? So early marriage and family and all that's a big deal.
But what's interesting was when he decided to get married, his father says, well, there goes your career. And that's exactly what happened. It was many years later that he got back on and became a performer again. But he's been married for 39 years. And he said, yeah, my dad was right. My whole career as a pop artist, went away when I got married. And then that article reminded me of an interview. Alec Baldwin does a podcast where he interviews people. And
Here's the Thing.
Yep.
It's a great podcast.
It is. Did you hear the one with Billy Joel?
No.
So
Maybe I did. I don't remember.
Billy Joel's talking about the work involved in writing songs, creating an album, touring, that kind of stuff. Billy Joel was admitting that it's no wonder he has a trail of marriages behind him because the work is so much to pursue that.
Right.
And so basically he was admitting, like, look, it was like to make this great music, I had to be super committed, which the carnage was your loss of marriage. The funny thing was Alec Baldwin agreed with that, but his take was on it, well, I figured my wife would get that.
Because he was married to Kim Basinger, who's an actress.
Right.
And is that who he's referring to?
I don't know. He's been married several times, I believe, at least twice. And maybe that's who he didn't mention her by name, but he assumed that his wife would get what was going on. Yeah. And he was surprised that it didn't work out.
Well, yeah, maybe if there's that kind of understanding in a marriage, it could. But
no, I think Billy Joel had was the honest one, or the realistic one, the one who got it. I don't think Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, well, that's what I appreciated about this movie, and that's what drove most people, got them upset about it. I was reading online afterwards how many people are upset about the ending because it's not all tied up in a bow, and I thought as I was watching it, I was curious, well, how is this going to end? And one thought I had is, okay, maybe neither of them actually get their dream, but they found each other, and they realized, oh, this whole time I've been after stardom and success and all that, when what really I wanted was somebody to love me, and you're that person. And I thought, oh, that would be kind of a sweet end to La La Land, which is a critique of don't pursue your dream at the expense of relationships. But then there was that twist. It's like, no, they both actually reach their dreams. They both become successes, but they lose each other in the process. And I'm like, dang, that's dark.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, so in that regard, I felt it was honest in that it showed there is a price to pay for the idolatry of Hollywood. And I kind of appreciated that. I don't agree with it. Like, I don't think that's something you should pursue.
Right.
I do think people in relationships and families are more important than those things. But I thought it was an honest portrayal of La La Land or Hollywood. It was just... I just don't think it was that great a movie that it deserves all these fantastic awards. And honestly, as I was watching it, I was thinking back to high school and the drama geeks at my high school, like the kids who were totally in, and I was not one of them. And I thought this is like all of those high school drama geeks' wet dream. Like, I know it sounds horrible, but like this kind of movie, it's all those geeks getting together and making a movie about what they think the world should be. Like, everyone should burst into an aquatic, choreographed song and dance number at every party. Like, that's just how the world should operate. And I can get people who are really into drama and stuff. I mean, this movie is unbelievable for them. Like, it's everything they wish the world was. Like, in a traffic jam on the 405, people just get out of their cars and break into song and dance. I mean, who wouldn't want that kind of world?
Exactly.
Right. So I can see why the Hollywood elite are throwing themselves all over this movie and giving it award after award after award, because this is the world they wish.
You know what's interesting, though?
They had.
Like, you're going back to high school. I remember, I almost thought you were going to reference Titanic, because I remember when Titanic came out, I was working in youth ministry, and all the youth were going nutso over Titanic, like seeing it, and especially the theater crowd, seeing it over and over and over again. And it was entertaining film, but like, I think I saw it once. Like,
right. That film is actually longer than the actual sinking of the Titanic. Little known fact.
Know that. Okay. But in that movie, a love story, they don't end up together. Right. Moulin Rouge, love story, they don't end up together. La La Land, they don't end up together. And so I don't know why that is. I don't know that they can tell. trying to think of a story where like they end up together and live happily ever after, besides a Disney cartoon, but something like that. It's like that dream is impossible, and it can only live within a moment of time.
Yeah.
Either end or someone's going to die.
Well, I think what it speaks to, not just in whether they get together or not, is a really good story. And I think a compelling story that we hang on to is one that involves sacrifice. And stories where, and this is part of my critique of a lot of evangelical popular Christian movies, is there's no sacrifice. Everything turns out great in the end. Everyone gets everything they want. And in a really compelling movie, the lead character or characters have to give up something to get something else. And what was surprising in La La Land is they gave up the relationship in order to get their dream. And I think that made it more compelling than if they'd gotten the dream and they'd gotten each other. And, so, but I think you're right. When there isn't a sacrifice involved, or when everything turns out just perfect in the end and tied up with a bow, it might be a nice Disney movie, but it's not compelling cinema.
It's hard to buy into it.
Right.
Yes.
So I like La La Land. I don't think I wouldn't discourage anyone from seeing it. I think it's worth seeing. I think the themes that are brought up, particularly in the ending, are worth discussing. I think it was a beautifully made movie. I like the music.
It's a great date night movie.
It is a great date night movie. I not there with all the accolades. Like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Right.
So
no, I agree with you.
Which I have one quick question.
Yeah.
I've not seen La La Land, but have either of you seen Swimming with Sharks, 1994?
No.
Kevin Spacey, Frank Whaley.
No.
That is it's a movie executive. Kevin Spacey plays a movie executive in Hollywood in the 1990s, and Frank Whaley's his assistant. His name's Skye. And it's basically the story of La La Land, it seems, but from an executive standpoint. So they don't want to be actors or actresses or anything like that, but he's dating a producer and he's an assistant to a movie executive, and it all comes down to,
like career
relationship
versus
or
love.
career.
that sort of thing. And it's a very interesting film. It's actually one of my favorite films.
Well, that brings
Swimming with Sharks.
Yes.
That brings up sort of the inverse of La La Land, which is Jerry Maguire. You remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Cuba Gooding Jr. And
one of my
and Tom
favorites.
Cruise. Yeah, so there's these two men. One's a professional football player. The other's a sports agent. One of them puts relationships ahead of career. The other puts career ahead of relationships. And it's an interesting juxtaposition of these two men and how they come to realize their errors. And I don't know if that's the way I've always seen that movie. But with La La Land, it's very clear we're putting our dreams of stardom and fame ahead of relationship.
Well, so Jerry Maguire, that would be a good example of where they got both at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they had two characters going in opposite directions.
Yeah.
One had to figure out how to be better at their career.
Right.
And the other had to figure out how to be better at the relationships.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's right. Anyway. Okay. Something borrowed.
Well, I don't know if you listen. Well, do you listen to Fresh Air?
I do a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So Terry Gross was interviewing the writer-director Damien Chazelle, if I'm saying his name correctly. And so you learn more about him and his background, which I think is very interesting. So I think it's worth listening to. The thing that jumped out to me that I thought was interesting was, first of all, he couldn't make La La Land because nobody wanted to, and so he made Whiplash, which Jason says is fantastic. Yes?
Neither of you seen it?
No.
Yeah, we need to put that on the list too.
So good.
So we need to see Whiplash. Is it J.K. Simmons? Is that his name?
Yeah.
So he's in both movies, La La Land and Whiplash.
Right.
But
Small
anyway,
role in La La Land.
right. One of my favorite roles, though. But
Yeah, that was good.
he had a success with Whiplash that allowed him the leverage to produce and create La La Land. And the comment he got quite often was, nobody wants to see a musical.
Right.
And what I looked at was, it was a $30 million budget, both domestic and foreign. It's brought as of yesterday, the 21st, I guess, it's made $173 million.
So it's done okay
It's done okay.
for not wanting to watch
So
musicals.
it'll be interesting to see what, the filmmaker does next, but two, how many more musicals will come down the pipeline.
Yeah, this is what happens when there's a success. Suddenly, everyone's copying it.
Right. Because, we had Into the Woods and what was before that? Les Mis. Before that was Chicago, which I think Chicago was popular enough that it led to Les Mis. And I feel like they're making Miss Saigon into a movie and some other.
Well, there's those Disney remakes.
Oh, the live action ones.
The live action remakes, which they're doing.
Are they singing in them?
Well, Beauty and the Beast is coming out soon.
I know, but were they singing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what we're used to musicals as Disney numbers, but yeah, will there be a resurgence now in
Like original musicals.
big production original musicals? I don't know.
Which you mentioning Whiplash, I hadn't thought about it. It's the same sort of career versus relationship. Exactly.
Oh.
So I think that this director really likes that sort of. Do I follow my career? Or do I?
Don't ruin it for us.
I'm not. That's
Since
just,
we
that's,
we
yeah,
only get
that's
to
it
ruin
there.
movies for you.
Yeah.
You do not get to ruin them for us.
That's right.
So yeah, check out if you're curious about the director. Get the podcast from Fresh Air on what's his name again? Damien
Chazelle?
Chazelle.
I don't know.
Shazam. Okay, that brings us to our final segment. Something blue. We did something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. This is something that either blew our minds recently or that blew chunks. Josh, I'll give you the lead here.
Okay, I haven't done a blue chunks in a while, and I have a list of blew my mind, but I'm going to go with this one blue chunks. It's the trailer for the movie A Dog's Purpose. Have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
So it starts out as a...
This is a Walden Media movie, which is known for doing Christian movies.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it does have that feeling of family and friendly and whimsical, and this is a neat story. And what's the guy's name? Josh Gad? What's the guy of the voice of
Josh Gad.
Josh Gad?
Gad, yeah, he does Olaf the snowman
Yes.
in Frozen.
So he's the voice of the dog in the movie. You're
Right.
like, oh, this is going to be sweet, a boy and his dog. And then it turns out that the dog dies, but he comes back as a different dog, and he comes back
Right.
again as another dog.
So it's really about canine Buddhism.
Yes. And I thought, what is going on in here? And it just went from sweet and like, oh, this has potential to, oh, this looks really dumb. In addition to that, it's got Dennis Quaid, who to me he's one of my favorite movie stars. He's a decent actor, but he's like one of those movie stars where you like to see him like in Inner Space and when they did The Parent Trap again. Like he's just a fun guy to see on the screen.
Yeah.
And you're like, here we go again. It's like but why can't he find a good movie?
If I recall from that preview, though, it's the dog, dogs only live 10, 15 years, whatever. So the dog keeps dying, and he gets reincarnated as different dogs, comes back to different owners, but his original boy he comes back to when he's Dennis Quaid as a man.
Older, yep.
And, does something to save, I don't know. He's got.
But why? But then it's all these questions like, well, why was it his first life with the boy? Like, why didn't this start hundreds of years ago?
Maybe it did.
Well, he doesn't remember.
Maybe the boy keeps getting reincarnated.
It looks dumb. And in addition to that, I don't know if you heard, but a video came out that they apparently mistreated the dog, so they canceled the premiere and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, this poor movie.
Yeah, there's a video of the dog being pushed into some
Water.
that he didn't want to. I mean, no dog wants to, whatever. Yeah. So
I'm not going to go see it.
I think you will. I bet you watch it.
not.
Maybe not in the theater, but
No.
I bet you watch. Then you got to come back. Okay, so I actually also have a Blue Chunks, but I have to. My caveat is that I haven't actually seen the movie. Kind of like you, actually.
I'm just talking about the trailer.
Yeah, well, I haven't even seen the trailer. I have a preemptive Blow Chunks. So I don't know if you've heard this. So again, Disney's taking a lot of their classic movies and remaking them into live action films. So they did that with Cinderella. They're doing it with Beauty and the Beast. They've done it with Jungle Book. So word has come out that they are remaking what was, as a child, my favorite movie.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm frightened on multiple fronts. They are remaking Dumbo as a live action movie. Yeah, I don't know why, but it gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. The director is Tim Burton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he was so great at the last Alice in Wonderland film.
So, Dumbo. Yeah. I mean, there is one dark sequence in Dumbo, which is the pink elephants on parade, which is very psychedelic and messed up. But Tim Burton should be, Nightmare Before Christmas and like Frankenstein dogs and things. I don't know why they're letting him come near Dumbo. And then it gets worse. Apparently, the lead actor attached to the movie is Will Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know what. Apparently, he's playing a father whose kids befriend this elephant thing. But this is the worst part. I mean, that's all bad enough. The worst part, the script, is written by Aaron Kruger,
Who wrote what?
who wrote the 3 sequel Transformers movies.
Oh,
And the Ring movies, which are
Oh.
horror flicks, if I recall.
But they were successful.
But you have him with Tim Burton. taking Dumbo. And Dumbo was a flawed... Dumbo came out in December 1941. You know anything else that happened in December 1941? A day that will live in infamy. Right. So it came out at the beginning of World War II. And there's a lot of racial stereotyping that goes on in the movie. It's a product of its era. It's a flawed film, but at its core, it's about a mother and child's bond and love and all that stuff. And, you know, a classic Disney movie. And I'm terrified of what they're going to do to this.
Well, it's kind of like, and there's not much to the story.
Yeah.
So they're going to, and I know they are expanding upon the story.
I'm sure they will.
Tom Hanks is actually... captain.
Yeah, I don't know if that's signed yet. There's a rumor that he's the villain.
Yes. Well, looking at that. But either way, I always think back to The Grinch with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Because they ruined that movie by giving more backstory.
Right.
And that's what I like. Make Beauty and the Beast, tell the same story, fine.
Right.
But when they add all this other stuff into it, I'm like, oh, bad idea.
Yeah, I'm preemptive. I can't say I blew chunks because I haven't seen it yet, but
Just
but
a little bit in your mouth.
Yes, when I heard this, I did get some acid in my mouth. Okay, so anyway, is that it?
That's it.
That's it for this week. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. You can support the podcast if you go to Phil Vischer's Patreon page, where you can sign up at very low rate to get bonus material, both from this podcast and from the Phil Vischer podcast. Please check out my website, which is skyejetani.com, SKYEJETHANI. Got a lot of new content that will be coming shortly. We also have the daily devotional that you can sign up for. Josh, anything you need to plug before we go?
Just to add comments to iTunes. You know,
Yes.
like, add a review, a positive comment, share it with people. I'm getting some great feedback. I'm hearing from third-party people who I don't know who they are listening to it and referring it back to people that
It's always good when someone other than your friends and family like
it is.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
So, but definitely rate us on iTunes. Give us some feedback. That'll help us grow the audience. And until next time, you can kiss this podcast goodbye.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.